looks like we're getting.
I'm gonna check. Yeah, I'm gonna check this on my phone.
Yeah, it looks like we are, but.
Yeah. No, I get that because.
Yeah, we're talking about how you're rolling.
But yeah.
We're the main.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna let them read it because I thought you would read somehow accepting, but since you said you want to go,
Can you pass the pop?
I'll look in for right so we'll start and then and we'll open the floor for discussion. Yes.
Tomorrow, it did not act or yesterday. Take one pass.
That's how I felt too.
There's a pop.
Yeah, you want to try it? Yeah.
Thanks, Brett.
Oh.
Got from yesterday.
Who's here? Oh, it's a good picture. Aww.
Yes.
Everyone took two?
Pass them that way.
That's so cute. I love the look of that.
Anybody else have an agenda?
I guess I just forgot you.
It's just you.
Yes, you can have one.
I got one, Kat.
So, you want our class? I don't know where. Okay.
Meeting to order, roll call. I didn't even hit it that hard, and you guys still flushed.
Senator Baker.
Here.
Senator Bolio.
Here.
Senator Bissonnette.
Here.
Senator Bouchard.
Here.
Senator Brown.
Here.
Senator Desai.
Here.
Senator Gilmartin.
Here.
Senator Holman. Senator Hunt.
Present.
Senator Kilday.
Here.
Senator Lipscomb.
Here.
Senator Lemieux.
Here.
Senator Lucier.
Here.
Senator McCarthy. Here. Senator McKiernan. Senator Miller. Senator Morrison.
Here.
Senator Piacenza.
Here.
Senator Raymond. Here. Senator Scorpa.
Present.
Senator Shmorad. Senator Silver.
Here.
Senator Stearns.
Here.
Senator Thurston.
Here.
Senator Weiner. Chairperson Amaya.
Here.
Chairperson Cloutier.
Here.
Chairperson Greenwood.
Here.
Chairperson Brault.
Present.
Secretary Brownson.
Here.
Vice President Souza.
Here.
President Coffey.
Present.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. I'm just gonna go right into business, and I'm gonna do something that is typically reserved for emergencies because I want to save as much time as possible for the discussion that we're gonna have. So at this time, I'm gonna seek unanimous consent to accept the minutes from the 2/25/2025 meeting and the 3/4/2025 meeting. If there's any objections, we have to have a conversation and we have to do a roll call vote. So are there any objections to that? Okay, those are accepted. Next, just rolling into new and existing business. I'm going to do the same thing for the club reactivation and club creation for the review of art and literature and the financial literacy club. But before I do that, I do just want to give a minute to both of them to discuss it before we just skip the voting. I'll hand the floor to you to hand it off to someone else.
Yeah, I'd like to hand the floor off to the representative for the review of art and literature. There is one.
I guess it'll have to be me. Is this legal? Can I, as the advisor, can I represent?
Yeah.
My editor-in-chief, Alexa Walker, should be here, but maybe she. Hi.
There she
Would you
is.
like to be reactivated? I'm Dan McLaughlin. I'm the advisor to the review of our literature. Alexa,
The editor-in-chief.
and we just got here. So I don't know what you'd like us to say. Please reactivate us. We've done a lot of work putting the board together and getting a review of our literature. Alexa, in particular, has done just a heroic amount of work. Things are going wonderfully. So we'd love to be officially recognized and be a part as we have been for many years. It's a great campus. If you'd like to add anything.
I mean, I know you guys had some questions about the changes. If you wanted to know something specific.
The floor is open for questions if anyone has any. Appears not. I know the past few meetings we've actually been talking about the review, so I think we have everyone here should have a general idea of what it's about and the history of it on our campus. So I do want to thank you both for working to bring it back. If you guys have anything else to add, I don't know if you want to give a brief summary of like what the plans are for the future, but that should be all we need. Yeah.
So we have been working this whole year, kind of try to put a new e-board together, a new structure together. We wanted to make it possible that we could like do it in a more financially stable manner, like a way that is less abundant than it has been in the past. So we found a new publisher, we oriented a new budget around everything, and then we are set, if we get reactivated, to then create the actual review, put it all together within the next month and send it out.
Okay. All right. Any last second questions on that? No. Okay. Then for Financial Literacy Club, is there a representative?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Nolan Chamberlain, and I'm here. I'm president, or hopefully president, of what will be Financial Literacy. So we do presentations around campus. We already are for Financial Literacy in a lot of the business seminar classes. The College of Pharmacy and the College of Engineering have had us a few times. We actually recently ran a Freshman Focus event where we presented on the importance of financial literacy, kind of introducing students to some topics that are obviously become more prevalent once you graduate and have kind of a stable income. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. Something my co-president, Nadia Jarvinen, is very passionate about. It was started a couple of years ago, and we've grown it. In the future, because we currently have 3 presenters, so our kind of forward-looking goal is to expand the presenter base, just so that way we can be at more places. Obviously, managing 3 busy schedules around classes is very difficult. We've had to say no to classes and events more often than we'd like to have to. So kind of the goal is to expand the presenter base so that we can be making more of these events. We'd love to start getting into the local high schools. We've had a lot of conversations with admissions, getting that process started, which would be really cool, kind of increase our impact on like the greater Springfield area. So yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool things that we have upcoming that we're planning.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay, first, I am seeking unanimous consent to reactivate the review of art and literature. Are there any objections? Okay, it passes.
Good choice.
Next, I am seeking unanimous consent for the Student Senate to create and recognize the Financial Literacy Club. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it passes. All right, now we are going to move into the Bear the Comfort Dog discussion. Before I open the floor, I'm going to hand the floor off to Vice President Matthews just to go over the information that's provided in front of all of you right now and some additional information as well.
Well, thank you all for having me here. Also, we have Dean Hickey, who's also on the cabinet and has an interest in this discussion as well. The information that's in front of you really gives a sense of what Bear has been to the community, right? This is not to influence people one way or the other, but what we in the cabinet have decided is that it's really not our choice alone, right? It is all of you, because Bear was acquired because he is a student's comfort dog. So in essence, he's everybody's dog, right, for the purpose of the comfort dog program. So there was a donation that was in place. Well, the dog was donated, right? He's a wonderful dog. There were donations to serve the dog, meaning that for health and care, there's a donation in place for that. And that Bear is also, there was a possibility of an additional dog for that donation, but Bear required a lot of the use of the donation. So just to make it clear, this dog has always been yours, right? The fate of what happens with Bear is that what we want to do is make sure that we respect the process of the students, right? There's a voice here that's important to all of us. And as we make final decisions about what has to happen, it should be most strongly influenced by you as a Senate body. And also there was a suggested polling that we have through the Senate of the students, so that you hear a final voice of all of them. But we should all know too that, you know, that as you read this, you can see the importance of what a comfort dog program is. But at the same time, we recognize that there is a wonderful animal in place that has its own needs, right? So this is really up to you to determine where this might go. And as you read through this, you'll get an understanding of how many calls Bear responded to, the number of campus events that are represented. And the fact is that Bear and a comfort dog program is really an emotional program. So that's what Bear has been. And at the same time, it's also Bear. You have an understanding that the dog has emotions too. They have needs. You have to balance those decisions yourself around what you would want to recommend to the administration. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to open the floor for questions, comments, or statements on this matter. Yes.
Thank you, Greg, for that. I do recognize that like having Bear is a very big impact to the community. I just want to start with saying that I think any comfort dog would be a really big asset to the community. While Bear was working here as a comfort dog, it's important to recognize like he is an animal and does have emotions and like attachments to people. He also has medical needs. He has anxiety specifically from being away from his handler, Allie, our officer. Capon Perizzo, yes. So that's like something that everyone should definitely take into account. His medical needs like range from like stuff like allergies to other things that really need to be like watched by someone who knows and understands those needs. He also like again formed that really strong bond with Allie and Allie's wife and the rest of their family. He also apparently has a brother dog, which I learned, and very close to his brother dog. So if he's depressed and like basically grieving the only life he knows, he's not going to provide much of a benefit to students because he's going to be sad, which is something that we should also think about. Most of his life occurs like outside of his working hours because, and he's a dog. Like he is used to like going home and playing outside and going on vacations like with his family. And like from what I understand from like all of the things that have been coming out and just things I've been told by several people, Officer Capon Perizzo was told when she introduced the Comfort Dog program that she would have the opportunity to buy out Bear if she ever left. But it's seeming like that's not as much of an option as it was like presented as originally. So I think that we should like do our best to help Bear and Allie be able to like give Bear the life he deserves and needs. There's also some like statistics that I wanted to go over, and I checked right before this meeting. I just couldn't update them, and they've significantly gone up since what I'm about to say. But as of 11:30 this morning, a TikTok video made by Allie's wife, Brianna, had over 18,000 views on it. over 1,300 likes and almost 300 comments, 99% of which being current WNE students, staff, alumni, all of which like supporting Bear going home with his family. There's also a change.org petition with now I believe it's over 1,700 signatures. That number might be a little bit off, but yeah, 1,744. So there's a lot of support for Bear being able to go home with his family. It's clearly an issue that WNE as a whole is passionate about. He has helped a lot of people, and I can speak like for a lot of people when I say that we all love him and we would all miss him. But it's like the most important thing right now is to make sure that like we're also caring for him, because what's best for him isn't necessarily being here if he isn't with his family. The university can get another comfort dog, and I'm sure students would miss Bear, but having a comfort dog is what is needed, not necessarily that comfort dog being Bear. And Allie and her wife and their family can't like replace the bond they already built with Bear. Like the university can replace Bear, but they can't. So I think it's the most fair that we let him go home with his family.
Before I continue, I'm gonna give Vice President Hickey the floor.
I just want to correct the record. No guarantees that we're able to find a replacement dog. Very, very expensive proposition. I checked with Needs, dogs. They're saying somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 acquire and train a dog suitable for being a comfort dog. So I don't disagree with your sentiment at all. I don't think any of us do. But making a decision that's best for the entire student body is what we're after. So I completely agree with you that dog is his trainer are very close. At the same time, we have over 1,000 students that use dog for comfort, and we're just trying to think about the students as well as the dog.
I do also just want to say, obviously, Officer Allie has not left yet, and I asked Greg right before the meeting what the situation with like possibly a buyout and stuff would be, and like we haven't reached that point yet. Things are still open. That's why we're having this conversation right now on how exactly it should be approached. Before I continue, I have a statement, and then I'm going to go down the line of Chairperson Cloutier, Senator Holman, Senator Bouchard, then Senator Scorpa. So Bear the Comfort Dog has been an integral part of our campus community for the past few years. And I know the Senate has played a key role in advocating for him and even naming him. But as we recognize his impact, I know we must also acknowledge the departure or soon departure of a valued member of our community, Officer Allie. How we treat those who leave speaks volume about who we are. If the university chooses to keep Bear, I believe that they are failing both Bear and Officer Allie. Bear is not just a campus presence. He's a working partner. And separating both Bear and Officer Allie disregards the bond that they have built. This is not just about appreciation, it's about respect. A strong community doesn't just value people when they are here, it ensures that they are treated with dignity when they leave. If we want to call ourselves a supportive, respectable, and fair institution, we need to start acting like one. I think in this case, the best decision is to let Bear go with Officer Allie. I get it, things happen, and tough decisions need to be made. We have seen it all year through some tough times. We must have dignity and respect and handle things the right way, and keep Bear with Officer Allie, or keeping Bear from Officer Allie is the wrong decision in my view. I personally have had a unique experience with dogs. My dogs at home are rescues, and I've spent time in multiple shelters meeting dogs who have endured natural disasters, surrenders, and abuse. I've seen firsthand the toll that separation takes on them: depression, learned helplessness, anxiety, anorexia, and more. I've witnessed dogs rip their own fur out from overwhelming stress of being torn away from their homes, or even in extreme circumstances, give up on the will to live. These animals are not just companions. They feel, they love, they form deep bonds. That's why separating Bear from Officer Allie isn't just a bad decision. It's a failure to recognize that Bear is more than just a presence on campus. He is a partner, He deserves to stay with the person he trusts the most. I have many questions about this situation, like all of you. And again, there's a lot of stuff still unfolding. I understand the university can't simply give dogs away to officers, and if it could, we'd probably have 20 bears on campus. I also recognize that there is still time for things to develop since Officer Alley is leaving at the end of the school year. The executive board will be working on surveys, one for the entire student body, another one specifically for all of you as senators, to gather data that we can present and provide back to upper administration about this issue on where the students stand on it. I'm not someone who just complains without offering up solutions. If money is the issue, as stated in this notice about the grant, then let's take action. I'm open to using Senate funds to pay for another comfort dog, but if that's not feasible, I have no doubt that the nearly 40 of us sitting at this table, along with the student body, are deeply connected group of alumni, staff, and other people throughout our campus community could launch a grassroots fundraiser to help retire Bear with dignity and gratitude, while also securing a new comfort canine for campus. If that's what it takes, I'm willing to commit all of our available resources for the rest of this term to make it happen. Additionally, if Bear does stay, I hope whatever money is left from that grant can pay for the training and medication that Bear might need if he develops any kind of mental issue from that decision. We have the ability to support and the responsibility to do right by Bear, Officer Alley, and our community. Now it just matters of whether or not we choose to act on it. I'll hand the floor off to Chairperson Kluge.
I was gonna ask you, Greg, are you speak a little bit about the terms of the agreement between Bear's handler and the university when the program was established, just to give some people in this room who might not have seen the video a little more context as to what's
Sure. In a contract of that type, it's essentially part of the overall policy about Bear. Not really a contract per se. So there are always opportunities with handlers to have that, where a dog could go with. So there's not a restriction on that, but it's at the same time there are usually conditions. Comfort animal is in play as part of the program. When you do that, anytime a person leaves, which is their right to do, it creates an impact on the students, impact on the institution. So it's really just, it's not really specific terms. There are a few conditions that allow Bear to go. That makes sense. But then, considerations of that, in terms of those conversations, have to be worked out. I can't be much more specific than that, unfortunately. It's not against them to allow to go. It means that it doesn't necessarily mean that the campus will return to having a comfort dog in the immediate future. If we choose to do that, and look at the option to look at the program differently than what we know, should we want to go that direction.
Senator Holman.
So I'm a student cadet, and I actually work very closely with Officer Alley for the past 2 years as I am a sophomore. And I've witnessed firsthand, even when Bear is in his crate in the office and Alley is on a call, he doesn't respond to anyone really at the department. He just sits in his cage, looks very sad. I personally have my own service dog with me. Some of you guys might not know, she is for anxiety and depression, so she also provides comfort. And my freshman year, when I didn't have her, she was tearing up her paws, ripping her own fur out because I was at home. I've witnessed firsthand, my mom try to tell her certain commands that I have for her, and she will not listen because we have formed that bond, especially over COVID when we were together 24/7. So I know firsthand how Bear is going to end up reacting to the situation. And I do understand that he's responded to so many calls, and our worry is without Bear that a good part of our community will suffer from certain events happening on campus, which will cause them to have depression, anxiety, and situations like that. But unfortunately, if we do keep Bear, I don't see him actually making a better impact to help other students, because if he's depressed and then you put another person who's depressed in the same room, yes, he is a dog. It might help the person who's a human, but it's not going to help him. And dogs can't talk to us to tell us how they feel. All they can do is go on acts. And I don't want to say Bear would react badly, but there's a chance that he could, which wouldn't help our situations, because there's times where, like, my dog, who's very sweet, can sometimes not want anything to do with my sister. My sister will pet her and she'll look at her funny. She's not doing anything to hurt her, but that is always a risk that we could have by separating a dog and their handler.
Senator Bouchard.
So this is kind of like to stem off what you said, Cam, but I mean, I was on TikTok the other day and I saw the video about it. And I mean, I know like social media, there's going to be a lot of like both sides to it, but like just that post alone, me just seeing that post, it makes our university look bad just as like an institution. Like reading the comments, it was like, oh, this is so typical WNE to like not respect their like members of their community. So like it was, again, like it makes our university, like whether what we decide, like we need to decide, like it shouldn't always be something we think of, but we need incoming students. We need to keep this university like continuing, and like this is going to add to like what people see of the community. College students who are looking to commit to a university aren't going to want to commit to a place where they don't feel valued. They're only feeling valued in their 4 years here. What happens when you leave? Like, what? It doesn't make our alumni like seem great. It doesn't make like the community seem like welcoming or fulfilling, because these are people that are leaving and this is how we're treating them. I think like whether or not that is like true, like 100% true, the face value of it, what people do see about a university matters. It matters in how successfully we will continue in the future. So I think handling this situation, although it may not be the most financially, I don't want to say responsible situation, because maybe it is expensive to get a new dog for the Comfort Dog program, but again, it's how we look as a university. I don't want to say a university is a business, but it almost in fact is. Like, we need to have these incoming students, and students aren't really going to want to commit to a place that is seen to have a bad reputation with this. So I think that's just something that we need to consider, especially going into the future. And there is different alternative routes that we can do for the finances of getting a new Comfort Dog, but it's something we need to consider as a university on how we look, which I know is not always the most important, but again, it is when we want a university to continue successful.
Senator Scorpa.
Yeah, going off of that and what President Kaufman said about how we treat people when they leave is the most important like reflection on how we are as a university. I think it's really important that like we remember that Bear is a living thing. And I feel like when it's boiled down to money, I understand it's a hard situation, but Bear is like a living thing and he has the ability to react and change, and like we can't just change his environment and everything he's ever known, because he's not going to fulfill the purpose that that grant was originally given to us to fulfill.
Yeah, Senator Kilday.
I am in support of Bear staying with Allie. I would rather not have a Comfort Dog on campus for a period of time than have a Comfort Dog that is miserable without his handler and family. I would like to say with this statement, I think an online survey is fantastic. I think it's a great idea if students are given the chance to share their opinions and their voices. Every single person I have talked to about this matter has been in support of Bear staying with Allie. So if you are willing to listen to student input and follow that decision, I think that's a fantastic course of action.
Senator Bissonnette.
One thing that I would like to point out that is a little bit different than what's been mentioned before is the two documents actually in front of us and the differences between the language in each. In the official statement from Western New England University, the only time that the name Bear was mentioned was in the original introduction of Bear the Comfort Dog. Every other mention was the dog or the comfort dog. Whereas in the document that they provided with statistics, hoping that we will agree that Bear should stay on campus and be separated from Allie, that document doesn't refer to the dog. It refers to Bear. I believe that the use of the linguistics on each of these pages is flat out offensive. It shows a complete disregard for bear as a living being. And simply, in the official statement, reduces bear to an animal and a financial responsibility. I understand that comfort dogs are expensive, but are we really going to place a price on the mental well-being of a member of our campus community?
Thank you. Senator Hunt.
Basically going off of that too, I think it's also knowing the fact that what Senator Bouchard mentioned earlier about us like in the outside source making us look bad. Because I've heard from multiple sources too that apparently it was a radio show was already mentioned about the current situation, which kind of already not making us look bad. And also with that petition going on too, it's not just WNE students, but the WNE alumni are also signing this as well, which they are also in support of Bear staying with Allie.
Senator Brown.
So I have just a couple comments I want to make, and then I have a question, Greg, that I'm hoping you can help answer. So I just want to say again, I am also in support with Bear staying with Allie. And kind of going off of what Senator Bouchard was saying, I think obviously, like Senator Kilday said, a survey campus-wide would be great, and I think the best way to gather this input. But I think really what the university does with that survey is the most important thing, because if student feedback comes in and like most of us have seen overwhelmingly, it seems most people want Bear to stay with Allie, and the university decides to go against that for whatever reason. I really worry about how that will make current students feel. And also, obviously, again, like Senator Bouchard said, how it will look to prospective students. Oh, they did a survey and then went against student input. How is that going to make current students feel when we are told to amplify our voice and to speak up for what we want? And obviously, there's going to be some things, on the back end, like legally, I guess I should say, that we'll never know about. But I think that should be taken into consideration too, just the campus response to the survey and then also what the university does with that survey. And then Greg, I have a question about, it says here, a second person has been trained to handle Bear in case of separation. I'm wondering if you are able to say who that is, and then maybe speak a little bit about like Bear's relationship with that person and how it kind of like his time with them compares to the time he spends with Allie.
Well, my understanding is it's much less time. There's always it's another officer within the system. So it's really that. And just a quick thing, none of this was intended to influence people one way or the other. So bringing this forward, that social media stuff got ahead of the process that we would have worked on much differently. When you see those kinds of things, it isn't the way we feel as an institution. For those of you who know me better, there's a lot of honesty about what happens in the administration, and certainly with the executive group here. The reason we're here with all of you is that there's going to be more things that when they're impacting students, that because of the advocacy that we're talking about, and Dean feels the same way. We want to make sure that, so he's here with me in this process. We want to make sure that you have a greater voice of the things that impact. So if it felt impersonal, sometimes when we look at things, it's really just to give out facts, because we give out facts that's not intended to influence, it's intended to give information. Right? So it's personal bias nature.
I want to state unequivocally that this administration has not made a decision about what to do with Bear. We have not made a decision. We couldn't make a decision because this service dog is actually yours. So we need your input in order to make that decision. We appreciate the conversation. I appreciate your point too. I mean, I work with alumni every day. This does not look good for us. And it did get out a little bit in front. I hope we can correct the record through this process, right? help people understand that this is a great community, that where people care about animals and people care about Officer Allen. But it can't happen. It can't happen at the highest level of the administration. It has to happen. We have to gather the information, which requires all of your input. So this is a real process, and we appreciate your honest feedback.
Chairperson Greenwood.
The whole purpose of the Senate is so that this body has a place to voice their opinions. And as I want to say quite a number of people have stated, we all feel that Bear should stay with Ally. So from working with you directly, I hope that what we have stated here today does bring in some knowledge to your decision. Thank you.
VP Susan.
I just want to say thank you to Greg and Dean for like, giving us the chance to say how we feel and for like making it clear that you guys do value our input on this. And like other people have said, I just really hope and I really appreciate the fact that like this input that we're giving today and through surveys and all that will help the right decision be made.
Chairperson Amaya.
So I have just kind of like a clarifying question because I'm curious, and as Senator Bouchard had mentioned, you don't really know. There's two sides to every story, but I just wanted to like talk about something that Brianna, Allie's spouse, had said, just about that there was talks of a support dog potentially that they already had in mind that they could work with the university that would either be of lower cost or something like that. Because I know you had also mentioned that it was going to be a lot of money to get a new one. So I was wondering if there had ever been talks with Brianna's spouse about that potential new dog that could have been at lower cost, or if that's false information or something like that.
So we did get an email from a dog handler trainer that indicated they'd be willing to work with us to get a dog. That's just the beginning of the process from what we understand. The training is expensive and lengthy. So we really don't know the extent, what the cost will be to bring the dog online, have it ready to work with students. We're anticipating, again, I have a friend who's a board member at the New England Association for Assistant Dogs. New England any ADS, and it's out of Princeton, Mass. He $40,000 to $50,000 for their dogs. So that's the best information I have.
And just so you know, that email came to us today. So it was not, so not all of this other stuff happened far in advance of us having any chance to have a conversation or the home themselves.
I'm going to give the floor to someone who hasn't spoken yet, so I'm going to start with Senator Lemieux.
I just have a question. If there was a way that a fundraiser was created to help, because I know that funds are a huge part of this and money-wise, if there was a fundraiser created, would that help the decision in the process of this whole thing? I know we have a very strong alumni network. I'm sure many would be willing to help better our community. And if this is a way that would help Bear be able to go home with Ally, is that like a possibility?
Yeah, I think it could. I think we could potentially raise money to acquire another. It generally will take, so our alumni are, you're right, we have a great alumni base. They're very supportive, but they have limited budgets. And so that $40,000 or $50,000 that we would attempt to raise, money that wouldn't be raised to support athletics. Our athletic teams, they all have to fundraise to support their program. The same is true with the arts. The same is true with all kinds of things that happen on campus that create opportunities for you all. So I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm saying that's a decision we have to make. We have to prioritize. Is this a big enough priority that we're going to forsake gifts to support other parts of campus? But I'm in support of it. I'm not saying I'm not. I just want you to understand the whole picture.
Senator Shamar.
So there's something that I would like to clarify. Did you mention that Bear is ours in between what you were saying?
Yeah, so when a comfort dog program occurs, it's funded by the institution. It's not given to a handler. A handler is part of a greater ecosystem of mental health that the dogs are part of, right? But understandably, dogs and people build relationships, like many of us talked about. I have a very close relationship with one of my dogs, right? So it's understandable that that kind of thing happens. But the institution owns the dog on behalf of the students as part of a comfort dog program.
It is true that Bear has been a good companion for us student body, but like thinking that Bear belongs to us as a property, I don't think it's appropriate. And Bear belongs to his family, and it's like better to mention that it's just a companion to us rather than a property for us.
We do have some other business we have to get to, but I will do the last three comments. So Chairperson Cloutier, Senator Bouchard, Senator Scorpa, and then we're gonna call it.
I have one comment, one question. The comment is just that, I don't know if you all are aware, but the petition that Vice President Souza mentioned earlier also has a section for donations and has raised a pretty significant amount of money in the past, 24 hours. So like, I think that maybe the support for like this goal is a little underestimated from the administration. The question is, just to clarify one, how does the grant that there has been given right now, would that not transfer to another service program, or is it specific?
It would, if we were to require another service dog, it would support, but we've already spent the majority of the original grant. So, I mean, we would transfer it. I'm not sure that it's big enough. It's not big enough, certainly, to acquire and train a new dog.
You know what percentage has been spent?
I don't know. I just, somebody told me this morning that more than half of it's been spent. The original amount was $21,000.
I had a question, but first I want to thank you guys for both coming and giving us your side, because again, like what they said is two sides to every story. And I think the social media posts like going up so early, like, I mean, as the first, like, I had a vision of it, but hearing like your guys's, it's good to hear both. And I think the student population should also hear that. So sending out that survey is a great way to like, this is what is actually happening. We're going to give you a voice to vote on it. And if they happen to vote on Bear going with Allie, then you guys took the students' voice in account. And I think the students will appreciate that, and that gives us a better look. But the question that I had going on with it is, Officer Allie would have to buy out Bear. Could we use some of that? Is that correct? Would she?
Sure, not necessarily.
She wouldn't have to like buy him out. She would just get him.
Yeah, this isn't about money, right? This is about the loss of a service to our students. I don't know what transaction would be required in order for her to be.
Some of this is a personnel issue. About it and getting ahead of it the way it was in social media. There's not a process. We didn't have a voice. We didn't have a voice. Right? When that goes out, that's intended to influence. A conversation like this, all of you have your own describing that happens in social media. This is the kind of thing that I think will happen more often, starting this year. I want to say that I appreciate all of you. I want to make sure that you all always have contributions. I appreciate the ability to be part of this.
Senator Scorpa.
I just want to say as well, I do appreciate you guys' transparency on this. It's refreshing to get that. But I also want to say I do recognize Bear's impact on campus, and I can't deny he's helped a lot with students. So would there be, like, if we were able to raise the money and to get another service dog, would there be a way to ensure that this doesn't happen again in the future? Maybe having multiple different handlers and like having like a rotation or something?
Such a good question.
Yeah, it really is. And it's something that part of why we're doing this is that we don't want to set a precedent, because this is what we're doing. Right? We're setting a precedent by saying, take the dog with you when you're the primary. So I think you're exactly spot on. Could we potentially find a way to share? But I don't know. I mean, I have 4 people in my family. We have 1 dog. That dog latches on to one member of our family. I don't know how it works.
Question.
Yep. I'm gonna actually have the last question come from Chairperson Peralta.
Yeah, I just had one final question that I was hoping either of you could provide some clarity on. I know from watching that video myself and also just hearing, again, word of mouth from other students, so I want to figure out the truth behind the claim. But the claim had been made that President Johnson was refusing to sit down with Sergeant Alley and meet with her to discuss buyout options. And I just wanted to know if you could provide any information on whether or not that's true, and if it is true, why. So I don't know, but he just returned. He was traveling until yesterday, came home on Sunday. My sense of things is, with an issue such as this, he wants to gather information before he sits down. That's what I would want to do.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, again, thank you both for attending, and then also, yeah.
We'll leave you to it. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. You guys.
Thank you, guys.
I'm really proud to be part of this good university as a result of this conversation. You made my day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next, I'm going to hand the floor to Senator Bissonnette about a sex week discussion. So the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I promise I will keep this shorter than my last speech.
Decorum, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I will try to keep this shorter than my last speech, but I did want to make a statement on Sex Week today. So as we are all aware, Sex Week for the 24-25 term was canceled due to extraneous circumstances, but what you may not know is that this week was in fact supposed to be Sex Week. So in place of a week filled with equally fun and educational events and activities, I'm here to make a statement instead. When I was first asked to be chair of Sex Week, I agreed because of one event I wanted to pursue. In fact, it was supposed to take place today. So instead, I'd like to tell you all about it, as I deem it ever important to our campus community. We had intended to partner with the Center of Health and Wellbeing on a What Were You Wearing walkthrough. If you have not heard of this prior to today, it is a walkthrough that showcases the clothing that people were wearing when they were sexually assaulted and their story alongside it. We were going to send out an anonymous survey for students to fill out and share their story to be displayed with visual representation of the clothing they described. Why? Because it is near impossible to deny a truth when it's looking you in the eyes. It is not about what you are wearing. It is not about whether you are drunk or high. It is not about your inability or fear to say no. It is not about your sex, gender, or sexuality. It is not about the relationship you have with the other person. Consent is a sober, informed, and truly enthusiastic yes. Sex Week is only successful when our campus community is excited about it. And the same can be said for our individual encounters. I've spent about half of my weekend digging through dictionaries and thesauruses, trying to find a word that can fully describe and capture what a survivor of sexual assault feels and experiences. And the truth is, I don't think there is one. So consider this a call to action. As long as one member of our community has experienced such an inexcusable crime, we have a duty to not only support them, but to stand with them. We have a moral and ethical obligation as human beings to ensure that no survivor has to stand or fight alone. As students and student leaders, we are capable of shaping our campus community as one that more actively supports and advocates for survivors. There is no easy time to set a precedent, but we owe it to our community to show that we will not tolerate sexual assault. Doing what is right is not the same as doing what is easy. It is easy to remain overcome by fear. It is much more difficult to be brave. Being brave is not about fearlessness. It's about standing up despite fear or danger. It took me 218 days to stand up. How long will it take you to stand with me? Thank you.
Thank you for that. I do apologize for Sex Week being canceled. And it's important for events like that, for our community to be aware and to stand with survivors. So we stand with survivors, we stand with you. So thank you. We're gonna move into business now. I'm going to allow you all to use your technology to look at the Constitution amendments because we forgot to bring them. So if you want to pull out your laptops and go to Kodiak, the Legislative Committee section 2425 term constitutional amendment proposals. You have the power to push it. Yeah. And while they're doing that, the floor is yours.
At this time, I make the motion to amend the Student Senate Constitution.
Second.
All right, there's been a second. I will allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours.
The first of the two amendments that you might be looking at is the Academic Secretary Amendment. This is to establish another executive board position instead of just having the secretary as a liaison, such as Secretary Bronson is. They would now be a part of the executive board, as we have deemed the importance of a Secretary of Academics just to create that relationship with the Office of the Provost and the Division of Academic Affairs. Along with this change, we have now changed the name of the secretary, which is Secretary Lingello, to Secretary of the Senate, while the new executive board position will be called Secretary of Academic Affairs. This is to differentiate between the two secretaries. That's what you would see in section 1 right there. And then again, from there is just the name correction for the Secretary of the Senate. However, if you can please put your attention to section 5, this is where it is the powers and duties of the Secretary of Academic Affairs. Listed from A to G are the powers and duties if the Secretary of Academic Affairs should be passed. As you can see, they would act as a liaison between students and the Office of the Provost and the Division of Academic Affairs, provide information about academic resources, communicate important academic deadlines, policies, and opportunities to students, to address student concerns related to curriculum, grading, and academic integrity, to collaborate with the Office of Information and Technology to address technical challenges affecting academic performance, inform the Senate of any ongoing research symposiums and report on the results, and then to perform such additional services as may be required. All of these powers and duties had been discussed with the executive board as well as my committee, and we all agree that these roles best fit the Secretary of Academics.
Thank you. I will open the floor to questions, comments, or statements about this amendment. Yes.
I wanted to clarify, this amendment, along with the clean slate / clean book amendments, will not be effective until the 2025 to 2026 term. So that would not affect this term.
Okay. I have something I would like to say on it as well. We have gone through 2 terms now with a Secretary of Academics, and I believe the work that they have done has been very, very effective and also very, very important to our Senate and to the student body. I think this role has become an integral part of our Senate now, and it is time to fully define it in our Constitution and make it a mandate that future student Senate presidents must appoint a Secretary of Academic Affairs. Other colleges and universities have a chairperson or secretary or vice president of academic affairs, and they are always in the top of the cabinet. We have been behind on this for far too long. We do operate differently, but there are a lot of things that remain similar between us and other student governments, other SGAs. And this is one that I believe is key that should be taken into our student government going forward. It is truly something that benefits the students. It gives the provost a direct student voice that they can constantly go to whenever they need it. Obviously, right now with a vacant provost position, I think now more than ever is probably the most important time for us to have a defined academic secretary in the Executive Board of Student Senate. So I will open the floor for further questions or comments, if anyone has any at this time. Okay, seeing none, since this is a constitutional amendment, it needs to reach a 2/3 majority to pass, and we will do a roll call vote.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bolio,
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette, Senator Bouchard,
Yes.
Senator Brown,
Yes.
Senator Desai, Senator Gilmartin, Senator Holman, Senator Hunt,
Yes.
Senator Kilby,
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb,
Yes.
Senator Lemieux,
Yes.
Senator Lucier,
Yes.
Senator McCarthy, Senator McKiernan, Senator Miller, Senator Morrison, Senator Piacenza,
Yes.
Senator Raymond,
Yes.
Senator Scorpa,
Yes.
Senator Shimorad,
Yes.
Senator Silver,
Yes.
Senator Stearns,
Yes.
Senator Thurston,
Yes.
Senator Weiner, Vice President Souza,
Yes.
President Coffin.
Yes.
21-0-0.
With 21 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 0 abstentions, the amendment passes. That does not make the amendment official yet. It will go into effect next term, but also the student body has a referendum on any amendments that we pass, so they also need to approve it. And keep that in mind for the next one as well. I do just want to quickly say thank you to Secretary Bronson and former Secretary Heaney for their integral roles in making this role work and work for the students. If it wasn't for you and former Secretary Heaney, then this wouldn't have happened. So thank you both. Next, we're going to move into the clean slate / clean books amendment. The floor is yours.
At this time, I make the motion to amend the Student Senate Constitution.
Second, I'm going to allocate 10 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours again.
So the other part of the amendment is the clean slate / clean books amendment. This is amending the elections part. What I would like us to emphasize on is section 3, which is added in, which would be amended in. All student senate transitions, including the swearing in of newly elected voting members, shall occur no later than 3 weeks before the end of the academic semester. All ongoing student senate work must be completed before the conclusion of the 3 weeks. Again, this was discussed amongst the executive board and then my committee, and we felt that it was best for transitions to occur 3 weeks before the end of the academic semester to give adequate time for the transitioning executive board to, again, pick up where the outgoing executive board had left off. And the part where it says all ongoing student senate work must be completed before the conclusion of the 3 weeks does not necessarily mean that all projects must, you must conclude them. However, they must come to a halt as you would put in your rollover report.
Are there any questions or comments about this? Yes.
So would the end of the academic center count as finals and then 3 weeks after that? So at the end of May or?
No, before. So 3 weeks before finals. Finals is, once finals starts, that's the end of the academic year. So whatever the first day of finals is, it needs to occur 3 weeks before that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
An example I can give is coincidentally with the date we were allowed to book a room this year, transitions is going to end up being about 3 weeks from the end of the semester. So that's April 8th, for example. So think about that timeline, give or take, for the future.
Also, just for context too, I believe the term transition last year was around this week. There was never a mandate on when exactly it's supposed to be. It was kind of just up to the election committee, which is not a good practice. I would hate to have a authoritarian student senate president just holding on to power and not holding elections, because they have to activate the election committee. But on top of that, the reason why, like I put /clean books, is the reason why this came up is because we want to clean our books. We want to hand not a financial mess off to the next administration when they come in. This will also benefit the treasurer and the finance committee significantly going into next year and years going forward. That way they don't need to deal with whatever mess the last administration had, if there is one. So yeah, any questions or comments about this? All right, we will do another roll call vote.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bolio,
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette,
Yes.
Senator Bouchard,
Yes.
Senator Brown,
Yes.
Senator Desai,
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin, Senator Holman, Senator Hunt,
Yes.
Senator Kilday,
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb,
Yes.
Senator Lemieux,
Yes.
Senator Lucier,
Yes.
Senator McCarthy,
Yes.
Senator McKiernan, Senator Miller, Senator Morrison, Senator Piacenza,
Yes.
Senator Raymond,
Yes.
Senator Scorpa,
Yes.
Senator Shimorad,
Yes.
Senator Silver,
Yes.
Senator Stearns,
Yes.
Senator Thurston,
Yes.
Senator Weiner, Vice President Souza,
Yes.
President Kaufman.
Yes.
23-0-0.
With 23 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 0 abstentions, the amendment passes. Okay, next, moving into visitors' comments. Are there any visitors' comments at this time?
I have one thing.
Yes.
So my name is Nathan Miller. Some of you know me, some of you don't. All of you have seen my name on the paper, the Bear fact sheet. Myself and my girlfriend Gianna Race, the other name on that paper. Those facts were taken from one of my roommate's assignments. My roommate cultural likely one of his assignments, but neither Gianna nor I give the university administration permission to use our names for this cause because we are also in support of letting Bear go to Apple. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay. I am going to send the email out to the all student group, and I will make sure your names are not on there.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know. Are there any other visitors' comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move into reports finance.
All right. First, for my report, we're going to start with budget reclamations. So at this time, I make the recommendation that Student Senate reclaim $1,125 from the cheerleading team.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
The cheerleading team recently concluded their last desired purchases for the year. They'll still have their fundraising revenue should they decide to make any other purchases. But this is the amount that their treasurer said could be reclaimed.
Any questions or comments? You will do a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? One abstention. Motion passes.
All right, next budget reclamation. At this time, I make the recommendation that Student Senate reclaim $159.97 from the pre-pharmacy club.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Floor is yours again.
Went back and forth a little bit with the pre-pharmacy club's treasurer in order to get this number finalized. They ended up wanting to do an additional event this April, which they have since made purchases for. So this was the amount that was left to reclaim.
Any questions or comments?
I should just claim both pre-farm and cheer were both consented to reclamations.
Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes.
And then final thing in my report, we actually have our first ever budget penalty. So at this time, I make the recommendation that Student Senate penalize the Ultimate Frisbee Club in the amount of $500.
So moved.
Second.
All right, the floor is yours.
Not as deep as it seems. Basically, as you all know, club sports are required to do a fundraiser once in the fall semester and once in the spring semester. And this year, I had a couple clubs post audit that did not do that. Some of them were granted exceptions. Due to various reasons. I think rugby was one of them, for example, because the fundraiser that they do in the spring semester, they typically raise over like $2,500 for it, which is equivalent, if not double, what most club sports bring from fundraisers. So for the clubs that didn't get an exemption granted to them, I basically gave them a decision as to what they wanted to do. So they either had the option to do 2 fundraisers this semester instead of 1, or receive a budget penalty of $500, which is the average amount of revenue that's generated from a fundraiser. This is actually not written in the club sport policy, which those treasurers were informed of. The current club sport policy states that their budget is to be seized until they've done a fundraiser, which I didn't write that policy. That came before my time, and I don't really think that's fair, because also if they were to execute a fundraiser, they kind of need to access their money to buy the stuff for a fundraiser. So something I'm going to be working on in the next couple of weeks before my final term ends is revising the club sport policy to basically give club sport treasurers the option to select what they want their option to be.
This seems like a good alternative to seizing their budget. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a voice vote since this one was also consented to.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the treasurer did elect this option instead of the other one, so they're fine with it.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
A couple abstentions. Motion passes. Next, legislative.
Yeah, to keep it brief, 15 out of 18 clubs have revised or confirmed a recent revision. And if you have received an email from me or a committee member about your club's constitution, you know who you are, please respond by this Friday, March 21st at 6 p.m. Either let us know you have seen the email and are making revisions, or you have an updated constitution from the last 3 years. If not, we will not be revising constitutions until next term.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. If you need to leave, and we'll push your report to next meeting if there's no member of your constituency here. If you could stay just to get your report out the way, that would be great. Kat wants a photo though, so we're gonna do that.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, everybody outside.
Go. I got class.
No, I know.
Move into reverse memorial.
Make sure that they didn't ask you for it. I know the answer to no, but I want to confirm.
We haven't gotten that far yet, so yeah, we have only received the kind of feedback of one point. Okay, well, we definitely can afford that. Here's what we probably will give us some updated numbers. And that's on the list for them. It's someone that has not recommended larger events this year, but he's. I'm gonna start. Okay. Yeah. That one I'm trying to work to see if we expand it up a little bit and give them some. But there's some other things going on with the other side of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Better? Yeah. Are we going? Yeah.
I appreciate that.
1, 2, 3.
No worries. Yes, I just forwarded it. Probably be there in like another minute.
For the minutes.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, that works perfectly. I don't know what the links are planned for, but we'll be able to put in for
Bye.
I have to make my Starbucks order.
Sorry. Okay, that's okay.
Me too. No, it's good. It's good. You did good. We'll get a photo of all of us in one shot without standing on a chair.
Yeah.
I think the last time I stood on that dress.
Okay, I think we lost quorum, so now we are in a reports only meeting, so no more motions. Chairperson Cloutier elected to refer to the minutes for her report. Chairperson Greenwood elected to refer to the minutes for her report. Academic Secretary Bronson elected to refer to the minutes for her report. So class of 26 is not here, so we will defer to next meeting for that report. Class of 27.
Here. Okay, so we hosted the Bingo and Boba event on February 20th, and on the 21st, we did a movie night. That was our class weekend. Both events had food and raffles and were very successful. And now we are currently planning an end of year event. I do have one concern that has been popping up with like housing coming up, and that is the switch from the way that the housing and meal plans were structured. And it seems there's not a lot of like real information out there about how it all works. And I don't even know what necessarily the shift was, but I know we're paying differently. And a lot of people in our class are specifically affected by it because the idea is that we should have been grandfathered in with the upperclassmen because we were here last year and we weren't grandfathered into the old system. And a lot of people feel like we should have, and we're being sort of gypped in that way. So I didn't know if there was like more information we could get on that for the class of 2027.
We will ask Greg about that, and we will get back to you on that
Lovely.
directly.
That's great.
Thank you. Class of 28, both of them are not here today. College of Arts and Science.
We deferred because our report is extremely long, so we don't want to take up your time.
College of Business.
Hi. I don't have much to report. The only thing I really have is the Marketing Association just had an event earlier today. It was like a Canva event, and they pretty much designed digital marketing cards. I heard the event went really well. We're going to check in with their president later today, but it seems like they had a good turnout.
Nice. College of Engineering.
The College of Engineering recently hosted an academic preview day for prospective engineering students on February 17th, where there were approximately 70 students registered. Dr. Russ and other College of Engineering faculty members established a week of events for National Engineers Week, occurring February 17th through the 21st, including events such as design challenges, STEM outreach, career fair, and research speed networking. And then the only concern we had was that a lot of engineering-related events hosted by the College of Engineering often occur on Tuesdays during Common Hour, which is at the same time as Senate and many other events. So a lot of students can't attend.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned this to you in our check-in, but for the minutes purpose, since there's like literally no one here, if you have an event for your constituency, there's been precedent that we allow you to like alternate meetings, like if it's like an every week thing or even just a once-off thing. If you're